camera video that we can show you today. Last night we showed you a short snippet of one officer's video. Today we'll be playing 3 videos from the first officers to arrive at scene and the officers who were at scene when the shooting took place. The full video will be available to you through the public records release process that has already been conducted, so that video is ready for you to pick up. We're also going to play 2 911 calls that we received. Those were the only 2 calls that we received related to this incident. I want to provide you with some additional information that we have. Officers attempted life-saving measures almost immediately after the shots were fired. Those included an assessment of injuries and wounds and CPR. There is a switch between officers providing CPR. One officer conducted CPR for several minutes and was relieved by a second officer. 90 seconds after the shots were fired, the fire alarm notice was notified that we need a medic at that scene. 6 minutes after the shots were fired, a Madison Township medic arrived at scene and performed life-saving measures to include transport to Mount Carmel East Hospital. Are we ready with the 911 calls? We'll first play the first 911 calls so you have that information.
911, where is your emergency?
Hello, it's 3171, Legion Lane.
Is there an apartment number letter? What's going on?
Come up here. The
Ma'am, you need
address
to talk to me.
is 3171. We got these grown girls over here trying to fight us, trying to stab us, trying to put our hands on our grandma. Get here now.
Have you seen any weapons? Ma'am, do you see any weapons?
We need a police officer here now.
Do you see any weapons?
Police officer now.
Ma'am, do you see any weapons?
On the dog trying to hear us. No!
The remaining time on that audio will just be a dial tone, but again, you'll have that full information. We'll play the second call now.
What's the address of your emergency?
It's on Legion Lane.
What's the emergency there?
Oh, well, never mind. The police are already out here. Never mind. Thank you.
Again, those were the only 2 911 calls we received, and we did not receive any 645, 45 non-emergency line calls. Just for some additional information, we received those first call at 4:32 p.m. Officers were dispatched at 4:35 p.m., and the first officers arrived at scene at 4:44 p.m. The first video we're going to show you is from Officer Nicholas Reardon. Officer Reardon was working a 1-officer car. He was hired in December of 2019. He's currently assigned to Zone 2, second shift, and he is the officer that discharged his firearm.
Hey! What's going on? Hey, what's going on? Hey! 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 Get down! Get down! Get down! Get down!
No! You ain't shoot my fucking baby! You shot my baby! Are you fucking serious?
Move on.
Are you stupid? Are you fucking serious? She shot?
Back up.
Is she shot?
She had a knife. She just went at her.
She's a fucking kid, man! Damn, are you stupid? A fucking kid?
Hold on. I told you to
Oh, y'all motherfuckers. Get down on my chair! I'm telling you now! That shouldn't even matter! You come here and fucking try
what do you need me to do? What do you need me to do? What do you need me to do?
Try to pull her.
All right. Or what do you need? You need me to pull her down? This way. We're out this way. All right. Hold on. I'll take this.
200.
She came at her with a knife.
A kid with a knife. A fucking knife. You shot her cover with a knife.
We'll now play the same video in slow motion. We'll move on to the second video. The next video is from Officer Sergey Akpalo. Officer Akpalo was working a two-officer car with Officer Eric Channel. He was hired in June of 2014 and is assigned to Zone 2 second shift. Again, each of these videos will have several minutes of officers driving to the scene that will be available to you in the public records request.
We need that 24 hour here.
Are you guys okay? Are officers okay?
Officers are okay.
Fiona, put your hands up.
You want to come sit in my car, please? Come sit in my car, okay? Come. Just come.
Can you get my phone for my mama?
Yeah, I'll get that later. Come sit in my car.
Babe, I didn't do anything.
Just stay right here. Just stay right here.
9201, code 1, will be on the 3 en route.
She just tased me. I just got here. Babe, it's okay. Calm down. It's okay.
Yeah, 200. We need more cars for our witnesses.
Okay, I got a 10-3 roll. I need more cars.
Have a seat. Have a seat. Real quick.
Don't say nothing. 200, is this still involved?
I do. I understand.
Hey, friend. Have a seat. Have a seat. All right, come sit over here in this car. Ma'am, come sit here. Go ahead and have a seat.
I just pulled up here.
Let's hurry up, please. This is urgent. Have a seat. Please.
My phone and keys.
I'm going to have you sit in that car over there, okay?
Oh my fucking God, bro.
Ma'am, come with me. Yeah, I'll get it later.
I need more cars. 10-3 roll. I need more cars.
Selfish son of a bitch, man, for shooting that girl.
Ma'am, come with me.
That was crazy.
My phone is right there. My keys.
I'll get it later. Let's go first.
Shoot a girl. And she ain't come at you in your life. How about she fucking can't have anything?
She came out at you with a knife earlier?
No, she just, that's what the police
That-
did.
that lady on the floor?
She came after me.
With a knife?
Yeah, so he got her. Can you please get my phone and stuff, please?
Have a seat for me.
Can you
Have a
please
seat
get
for
my
me.
phone?
Yes, we'll get it. We'll get everything.
Please, sir.
Guys, back up, back up.
We don't have an LC. I'm trying to find one now.
Yes, sir.
200, we got a medic roll.
Medics are rolling, sir. MPD has been advised. They're en route.
Get out of here.
That's fine. Do we have an L5? Take care of it, ma'am.
She got out the car shot. I watched the whole thing.
Sir, I'm going to have you go over there.
I watched the whole thing.
Medic on Legion.
You ain't keep saying.
Yeah, that's 16. I'm not clear to go in right now.
EMS, go straight in, please. Go straight in.
Watch the whole thing.
Send them in. Send them in.
The third body-worn camera video will be from Officer Eric Channel. Officer Channel was hired in June of 2014. He's currently assigned to Zone 2 Second Watch and was working with Officer Akpalo.
Shot fired. 200 shot fired. She had a knife. She just went at her.
200, keys on 24.
Officers out here.
Okay. Wait, no.
Where you, man?
9201, code 1, flipping on the 3 en route.
You want
Yeah, it's right here.
Yeah, don't move that.
What do you need me to do?
What do you need?
We need to try to. You want to try to pull her so we can.
Yeah, I got a 10-3 rolling. I need more cars.
What do you need? You need to pull her out this way. Pull her out this way.
Hold on.
200, just feel involved.
200 acre.
He shot her. Why you shoot her?
Where's she hit?
A knife.
Hold on. Where's she hit? Is she breathing?
Back.
She charged her, but she came at her with a knife.
You didn't have to shoot her with
the leg?
That's a fucking girl. Now she's dead for what? You just got over this shit.
I don't know, but you feel pulses and start compression.
And you gonna shoot her for nothing?
Get us more cars to crowd control, please. Come on, stay with us. Come on, don't argue with them. Hey, watch her backs. Watch her backs. Come on. Leave that knife. Do not.
Wake up, ma'am.
Come on. Come on, stay with us. Come on.
Stay with us.
Keep that knife close.
She did not come with no knife. Actually,
The knife's right here.
I see the knife, but she didn't come at you with the knife. She came at that.
Come on. Come on. Stay with me. What's her name? What's her name? Micaiah, come on. Stay with us, Micaiah. Come on. Stay with us, Micaiah. Come on. Come on. Stay. Stay. Get the medic in here.
We don't have an LTO book. Trying to find one now.
Come on. Stay with Micaiah.
200, we got a medic rolling.
Come on.
Medics are holding, sir.
Come on. Watch her back, please. Come on. Hang with us. You got one?
Take care of him.
You just got out the car and shot her. I watched the whole
Come on. All right, don't talk to him. Don't talk to him. Come on, Micaiah. Come on, Micaiah.
You ain't she's dead.
Come on, Micaiah. Stay with us.
Stay with us.
Come on.
What you mean? Come on, Micaiah. You just jumped out the
Yeah, bring him in.
and shot her. I watched the whole thing.
Come on. Back him up. Hey, back everybody up. Come on, Micaiah. Stay with us. Come on. Stay with us. Come on. Come on. Stay with us, Micaiah. Come on. Come on.
Micaiah Bryant has been positively identified as the 16-year-old killed in this incident, and law enforcement has been in contact with her family. As I said last night, the important step now is for BCI to conduct a independent and transparent investigation. The Columbus Division of Police will assist them, but we will not interfere in any investigative process that they have. Our role is to provide them the information that they request and do so in a timely manner. We will not interfere. We will not provide input. We will allow them to conduct their investigation. At the conclusion of their investigation, that investigation is sent to the Franklin County Prosecutor's Office, where it will be presented to a Franklin County grand jury, and eventually the packet will come to the Columbus Division of Police, and we will review that incident for policy compliance or violations. Now, Mayor McGinter will come up and say a few words.
We don't yet have all of the facts, but we do know that a 16-year-old girl, child in this community, tragically died last night. We released the officer's body-worn camera footage as soon as possible. We'll release all other information that we can as soon as we can. We also need to be careful about not compromising the investigation being conducted by BCI. We believe that transparency with the public is the utmost priority during this difficult time. Bottom line, did Ma'Khia Bryant need to die yesterday? How did we get here? This is a failure on part of our community. Some are guilty, but all of us are responsible. BCI will determine if the officer involved was wrong. And if he was, we will hold him accountable, as we have other officers who've committed wrongdoing, criminally or in violation of the policies and procedures of the Division of Police. Transparency, accountability, absolutely critical to our community during this time of crisis. We have a bigger societal question. How do we as a city and a community come together to ensure that our kids never feel the need to resort to violence as a means of solving disputes or in order to protect themselves? We remain committed to ensuring accountability in all violent interactions between police and our neighbors. The BCI investigation is the first step in unraveling what led to the tragic death of yet another child in our community. This is what we have done thus far. We released officer-involved body-worn camera footage within hours of the incident. We updated stakeholders throughout the evening of the incident. We are releasing remaining body-worn camera footage from witness officers here this afternoon. We will release cruiser cam video either later today or early tomorrow morning. We continue to meet with faith leaders, community leaders, and the media to share everything we can without compromising the investigation, because we know how critical timely, full, transparent information is to the public right now. I invite Safety Director Pettis to come forward and share a few words.
Thank you, Mayor. I understand the outrage and emotion around this incident. A teenage girl is dead. And she's dead at the hands of a police officer. Under any circumstances, that is a horrendous tragedy. But the video shows that there is more to this. It requires us to pause, take a close look at the sequence of events, and though it's not easy, wait for the facts as determined by an independent investigation. We have to ask ourselves, what information did the officer have? What did he see? How much time did he have to assess the situation? And what would have happened if he had taken no action at all? We don't yet have those answers. But these are some of the questions that are asked and addressed in disciplinary hearings that come before me. As Chief Woods has indicated, a fully independent investigation is being conducted by BCI. The results will be public. So I plead with the community, let us not rush to judgment. As I said last night, fast facts should not come at the cost of complete and accurate facts. The loved ones of Ma'Khia Bryant have my most sincere sympathies, and we as a community should wrap them in love, and we should allow the process to play out. Thank you.
Again, I am limited in the information not only that I can share, but in the information that I have. As I stated earlier, the Division of Police, our responsibility is to provide information, not to conduct this investigation. So I will try and answer some questions that you have.
Chief Woods, who is on that first 911 call? Is that Ma'Khia Bryant's voice?
We do not know that. Again, that will be BCI interviewing all the witnesses to determine who made those phone calls. The Division of Police did not interview any witness or anyone that day, and we will not interview them.
Did anyone on the scene say it was Ma'Khia making the call?
I do not have any of that information.
Chief Woods, who were the other people in that video? For example, the woman on the ground or the woman in pink. How old were they and what were their relationships?
Again, those are witnesses, so they were referred to BCI. So BCI would have that information, but again, that's part of their investigation. We don't come in. We did separate the witness. You saw that with the officer placing individuals in the back seats of cruisers. That was the extent of our involvement right then. We wanted to separate the witnesses, keep them available for BCI, but we do not interview them. We don't ask them what they saw before we got there or when it was there. That's an entirely exclusive BCI process.
I just have a question for you and then one for the mayor, if I may. This question has to do with policy more than it has to do with the investigation. Since it happened and people heard the mayor call for transparency and the body cameras to be released, one question specifically that has gone viral on social media is, to what degree should an officer opt to use a taser rather than his service weapon? Again, I'm asking you to respond to that based on policy, not specific to this investigation.
Yeah, because I cannot respond specifically to this specific incident, but what I can say is when officers are faced with someone employing deadly force can be the response the officer gives.
And at what point is it more prudent for said officer in a hypothetical scenario to use a taser versus the service weapon?
Again, if there's not deadly force being perpetrated on someone else at that time, an officer may have the opportunity to have cover, distance, and time to use a taser. But if those things aren't present and there is an active assault going on in which someone could lose their life, the officer can use their firearm to protect that third person.
Understood. Mr. Mayor, it's very rare for a police agency in this country to release body camera video as fast as the Columbus Police Department did. You pretty quickly after the shooting sent out a couple of tweets saying there is camera video and indicating you wanted it released. Did you face an uphill battle with anyone in pushing for that to try and get it released last night?
No, I think we all knew as a city and as a community that there were a lot of things being said and shared out in the community that may or may not have been consistent with what we have seen with our own eyes here. And I think critically during a time of crisis, it's very important to be as transparent and responsive as possible. And so work closely with the director and the chief to make sure, and their teams, to make sure we got this footage out. Now you have everything that we have that has been processed, and we'll be sharing more in the hours, days, weeks ahead. That doesn't compromise the investigation, because it's critically important for us, for the public, to have the information that we have so we can be transparent as possible.
Mayor, to follow up on that, whose call was it to release all that information? Why was it done? Was it done to calm emotions, and did it calm emotions, do you think?
Well, you know, it was done because the public deserves to know what happens, and they needed to have this footage. The reason that I made body-worn cameras my top priority when I was running, and we invested so much during my first term, is to have this information, to have this transparency, to have this power given to the community. So it's no longer about an officer's word versus a resident's word or different neighbors' takes on things, but we have this footage, and we know that having this footage increases accountability on both sides of the camera. And this is also why we are upgrading our body-worn camera system this year in partnership with council to make sure that we have the next iteration and the best available technology and footage to share with the public as these things take shape.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
A follow-up on that. Now that we've seen how quickly this body camera footage can be released, is that going to be the same for all officer-involved shootings moving forward, or is this a unique circumstance?
I believe that it'll be, something that we have to evaluate. My goal is to have as much information shared as quickly as possible. And as you know, our top priority last year was entering into, by executive order and an MOU, the first time ever that the city's had independent investigations take place with police-involved shootings that BCI is handling in this case, as well as the case involving Andre Hill from December. That was a top priority and something that we believe is important, that folks know that there's an independent investigation taking place when there are police-involved shootings and deaths in custody. That's something that I think we will strive for and will make a priority, again, because we believe transparency is most important during times like these.
You talked about the need for reflection and everyone's responsibility for a tragedy like this. Regardless of whether the investigation finds this officer acted appropriately or within protocol, are you going to be calling for change to try to prevent another shooting like this?
Absolutely. I mean, the fact that we had a 16-year-old girl armed and involved with physical violence with other folks in that community, that's something for us to look in the mirror and to say, what are we doing or not doing? How can we better serve young people who are facing one of the greatest spikes in violence in this city and in cities across America? What else can we be doing? As you know, we're undertaking significant reform efforts and seating our first ever civilian review board. We're looking at our training and how we're recruiting and the types of officers that we're putting on the street and what we're equipping them with, all in response to the Matrix report and the Community Safety Advisory Commission recommendations. And so this is going to be a top priority for this city moving forward as we continue with change and reform. We're going to be hiring the first external chief of police in the city's history in the coming months, and we think that with other steps will help us deal with what the community is calling for.
Chief Woods, you described how your policy allows an officer to discharge their firearm to prevent deadly harm. What do you train your officers about how many times they can discharge their weapon before stopping and reevaluating and determining if they need to keep discharging their weapon?
Firearms training is you fire until the threat is over. So there were shots fired, but I can't assess what the officer is thinking. That'll be through his statement. But training is you fire to stop the threat.
Chief, can I ask you about the gentleman who was also seen in the video? He was seen kicking the girl who was on the ground. Is CPD investigating that separately as a possible assault?
Yeah, we will have to look at that, but first, before we can talk to that person or any other individual to look at any other crime that may have been committed during this, is that BCI, again, has to have that first opportunity to talk to everyone there. Once they give us information that those interviews have been completed and that it's okay, then we will step in and see if there are additional individuals that need to have charges filed.
And Mayor, can I follow up on your previous statement? What do you think could have been done differently to prevent what happened last night?
Well, obviously, we'll know a lot more once we have the independent investigation completed and the results back from that, which will be an exhaustive process that we have a great deal of confidence in, and the people have confidence that it will be an independent investigation. Certainly, what I was speaking to is this larger spike in violence that you and I have talked about a number of times over the past year and a half. And what we need to be doing as a community to prevent the type of violence before any officer arrived on the scene that was taking place in one of our neighborhoods. And it's going to require all of us to step up and do more to invest in our young people and make sure that they have positive, programmatic pathways to a brighter future. There's so many young people right now that are hopeless. They feel like they don't count, they don't matter, and there's no impact on their future. And they continue to see their friends shot and killed day after day, week after week, month after month. There is a hopelessness out there amongst young people, and that's something collectively as a community we're going to have to address.
Mayor, you talked about this a little bit, but Council President Hardin also said this morning in his statement that guns cannot be the final answer for threats like this. What specifically did you see on that tape that makes you think that this may not have been appropriate, or in the alternative, that the officers did act appropriately given the circumstances as we see them unfolding?
Well, obviously, the investigation will respond to that, and will answer that both, on the criminal side and the policy side for the Division of Police. I haven't seen the Council President's statement, so I'm not going to react to that. But I do believe that a lot of the other reforms and efforts that we're involved with, including the alternative crisis response and other things that we're investing in, will help. I don't know if any of those things would have, had a different outcome based on what we've seen in this footage, but we won't know completely until that independent investigation is finished.
Chief, one of the big questions that has been asked primarily on social media, and it may seem like a silly question that, shouldn't people already know, but this is a legitimate question that a lot of people are asking, is can an officer shoot the leg? Can they shoot somewhere that would not result in a fatal wound, right? So a lot of people have said, couldn't he have just shot her in the leg so she dropped? Couldn't he have shot her in the arm, something like that?
Right, one of the difficult things with that is when you're trying, we don't train to shoot the leg because that's a small target. We train to shoot center mass, what is available to stop that threat. There was a threat going on, a deadly force threat that was going on, so the officer is trained to shoot center mass, the largest part of a body that is available to them. When you try to start shooting legs or arms, rounds miss, and then they continue on, and there are people behind that could be in danger that are not committing anything. So we try and minimize any danger to anyone else if we have to use our firearm.
Chief, is a 12-minute response time to report an attempted stabbing acceptable?
It was not written up as an attempted stabbing. We received the information as a disturbance. There was, as you could hear from the 911 call, it was some confusing information. The dispatchers attempted to gain more information to help them decipher what was going on. The second call was very abbreviated. Once they saw a cruiser outside, no additional information was provided. So what we try and do with our dispatchers is ask those questions, get as much information that we possibly can so that officers traveling to a scene have all that information. In this instance, I think it was very chaotic. The phone call was very loud. There was a lot of screaming going on in the background. So all that information that we weren't able to get would have been beneficial. But as far as a 12-minute response time, I also don't know what was else going on in the city at that time. We have to prioritize. We only have so many resources. So if there were other priority calls for service going on at that time, we have to look at that, and then our cars available for that.
The first caller did refer to trying to stab us.
Yes.
That's no cause for urgency?
Again, cars were dispatched. We had the run written. Are cars available? I don't have that information if cars were available. We received the call. The call was written up. But do we have cars available to respond? That's a question I just don't have the answer to right now.
Do we know the proximity of the first responding officer who fired the shot? Do we know how far he was?
I do not.
Chief, you said the first two girls were injured, two that we see, one came to go down, and the girl who was like, do we know anything about whether they were injured?
I believe they were minor injuries. I don't have the extent of those injuries, though.
Do you know if those were light injuries?
I don't have that information. Again, any injury or any information they would have provided would have gone to BCI, not to the Columbus Police.
Chief, you said the first call came in at 4:32. Is that correct?
Yes.
And the second call came in?
I don't have that time. I just have the first information. We received the first call at 4:32.
And officers were dispatched at 4:35?
4:35.
Does it typically take 3 minutes to dispatch an officer to a scene, like we discussed where it was a disturbance?
Again, a dispatcher has, this is Zone 2, so this is a large part of the southeast part of the Columbus. So there are 4 precincts on that zone. It was an afternoon. It was a nice day. There may have been a lot of calls for service, so what cars are available? They rank those in priorities, priority 1, priority 2s. This was a priority 2 call. Once a car is available, they get dispatched.
Do you know how many gunshot wounds the deceased?
I do not. That'll be a BCI question.
Chief, does the Columbus Police Department policy state that the officer must declare he is about to shoot before he does shoot?
We try, but it is not a policy requirement that you yell your intent to fire your weapon.
Is it a part of teaching that the officer is taught to?
If there is time and opportunity, yes, we try and include that, but it is not a requirement if that time and opportunity is not there. I can't confirm any information about her residence or any information about her.
Chief Woods, do we know what this disturbance was about?
We don't. And again, that'll be obtained through those investigations from BCI. Again, they're getting that first crack. They want to have that information. They want to have that information fresh. And I would like to just kind of mention your question about the timeliness and how quick we were able to get this information out there. One of the things that has to occur before we get that is that BCI wants to have the opportunity to look at that body-worn camera footage. So we send a homicide detective to that scene with a computer that allows them to watch that. They want to review all that body-worn camera so that when they're doing their investigation, the scene, any evidence, they want to make sure that they have collected any evidence. So they're getting that first opportunity. So last night, that opportunity to view that happened quickly. Then that body-worn camera was brought into police headquarters. We uploaded it into the system, and then we got that out as quick as we could. I believe about 5.5 hours. That's extremely fast, and I'm not going to say that we're going to be able to do that every time. If there are a lot more videos to watch, BCI has to go through each one of those videos to have a good understanding of what took place, who to interview, what the crime scene looks like. So it's time factor of making sure that they have that information before any of us do. BCI agents watched all that body-worn camera before it was ever brought to me.
Chief, what's your takeaway watching that video?
It's a tragedy. There's no other way to say it. It's a 16-year-old girl. I'm a father. Her family is grieving. Regardless of the circumstances associated with this, a 16-year-old girl lost her life yesterday. And I sure as hell wish it hadn't happened.
Thanks, everybody.
If you guys have public records requested, they'll be coming out momentarily.
ecosystems, Apple's and Google's, with each setting all the rules and extracting commissions. And consumers choose which ecosystem they want to use when they buy their smartphone. If they buy an iPhone, they're with Apple for as long as they use that phone. If they buy an Android phone, they are with Google for the life of that phone. As consumers don't replace smartphones very often because they are so expensive, app developers who want to reach consumers on both types of phone must create two versions of their apps, one for Apple and one for Android. And the only practical way for app developers to reach those customers is with the permission of Apple or Google. Unless you are some kind of computer hacker, which we hope you're not, the only way to download an app onto your iPhone is through the Apple App Store. No other app stores are allowed, and downloading apps directly from the internet to avoid the App Store, a process known as side loading, is prohibited by Apple. In every sense, it's what we call a walled garden, and by design, the App Store has a literal monopoly on the distribution of apps on Apple devices. While Google does allow alternative app stores and sideloading on Android, as a practical matter, the overwhelming majority of app downloads take place on the Google Play Store, making it by far the dominant app store on Android devices. Both Apple and Google maintain strict control over their app stores. They decide which apps can or cannot exist on their app stores and set the rules for how apps operate once they are downloaded. As a result, Apple and Google operate as gatekeepers with the power to decide how or whether apps can reach iPhone and Android users. And at the same time, they offer many apps that compete directly with those sold through their own app stores. Of course, this gatekeeper power can and often is used to provide a secure environment in which legitimate apps can be distributed to consumers. But today, we will focus on how Apple and Google can use their power to, 1, exclude or suppress apps that compete with their own products, and 2, charge excessive fees that affect competition in the app economy. As I've said before, just because a company creates a successful, innovative business that consumers like doesn't give it a free pass to harm competition or ignore our antitrust laws. Both companies also offer their own apps that compete with the third-party apps in their app stores, including video streaming apps, music apps, payment apps, gaming apps, and more. In some cases, Apple and Google can build the functionality of a third-party app into their operating system or build an app that is essentially a copy. Apple's App Store terms explicitly allow them to imitate any of the apps in their store, a practice known as Sherlocking, which can render the original competing app obsolete. Both companies also compel app providers that sell digital content or services in their app to use their payment process services. The companies then charge commissions of up to 30%, that's right, 30%, for such in-app purchases. The apps are not allowed, and this is something that people don't know, to inform customers of or link to payment methods outside of the app to avoid the commission. In other words, consumers are banned from finding out if they're in the app that they have a cheaper alternative. Of course, we acknowledge that most apps are not subject to these commissions. Most small developers and those who offer apps that sell physical goods or services that will be consumed outside the app, like rides on Uber, don't pay the commission. And they are probably pretty happy about that. That's fine. But focusing high commissions on apps that charge for digital services used on the iPhone ensures that the commissions target on the very apps that are most likely to compete directly with Apple's and Google's own offerings. And some affected app developers are complaining that being forced to use these payment services with their high commissions are crippling their ability to compete with Apple and Google products on equal terms. So just because most developers are happy because they aren't paying commissions, that's fine. It doesn't inoculate the app stores from the antitrust laws if they are harming competition with other developers. Some developers have also raised concerns about the app store's ability to